Welcome back to J Agenda number 9. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming back and watching again. Appreciate it. Taking time out of your life to listen to what I have to say. I'm honored by that. By the way, before I go on, please be sure to tick that like button and share this if you feel that it's the content is worthy of sharing. And I appreciate your subscription to the channel. I'm going to put up more videos. I hope to put up more content more frequently. So thank you for your patience in that regard. I appreciate it. So I came across 2 or 3 articles last week from a foreign news source about a couple of this event occurred at the start of Pride Month, I guess in June, and it was about a couple of dysphoric morons in Milwaukee who have a church, right? It's in one of the mainline denominations, and anyway, during one of the services they had the praise band strike up a new tune, a new hymn, and that hymn in part read this way or sang this way, and I didn't see it. I didn't see the hymn, so I don't know how the tune goes. Probably would lose you as a subscriber if I sang it anyway. But it goes, I'm fucking gay and thank God for that. Christians cast me out. Wait a minute, you're in a Christian church. Anyway, Christians cast me out, but Jesus had my back. And we say hallelujah. We're all fucking weird. And there is a place for you at the table, honey, here. And then they say, let's get louder, go, go, go. And we say hallelujah. We're all fucking weird. And there's a place for you at the table, honey, here. Look, I don't care about interchurch spats and divisions, right? I wouldn't care if all religion withered up and blew away in the winds of history. That's kind of a hope I have. I won't see it in my lifetime, but that's kind of a hope I have. My reason for speaking out or speaking about this particular public relations stunt has to do with where the motivation, the idea for this came about. And this altering of sacred hymnology was directly born out of something that's called queer theory. And queer theory dropped out of the lower intestines of nihilistic postmodernist thought and philosophy, most notably by the likes of people like Foucault and Derrida and Baudrillard. I never get his name right. And I've read Foucault. I've read Derrida. If I had a professor in grad school who would always ask, if somebody asked a question, his response would be, and I think it's probably just his way of getting out of answering the question, but he would respond to every question with, what would Foucault say? I can smell postmodern thought long before I ever see it. And this perversion of sacred liturgy reeked of postmodernism, and that's why I wanted to do this video on this. And postmodernism is destructive in that it seeks in part to bring about cultural and social changes through the challenging and the perversion of language. It intentionally redefines essential terms. Queer theory intentionally redefines essential terms. We change the language. We force a change in the meaning of language. These are words we can use, words we can't. We'll use these words in a different way, but don't you dare use that word, because if you do, You're just supporting some sort of authoritarian taxonomy, and I'll come to that in a minute. And that's a no-no, because we don't say that word, we don't use that meaning anymore. And then they enforce that change of language through shaming, through intimidation, through canceling people, through radical revisionism, and even litigation. It redefines what is and what is not acceptable language on the basis of somebody's feelings about a prevailing meta-narrative. Thus, postmodernism attempts to shape culture according to an idea. They shape ideas through the force of redefined language. Self-evident truths are denied, and anyone can declare their own reality as objective truth. It becomes their truth, and if you don't honor their truth, well, you're violent. You're oppressing them. You're hurting their feelings in some way. Now, this is insane. And if it seems incoherent to you, it is, almost by design. Queer theory isn't so much interested in objectivity and material realities as it is in poisoning, weakening, and altering, thus queering, what its apostles claim are oppressive power structures. Oh, the language of science came from authoritarian power structures, so we need to change that language. We need to change the word. We even need to change the science itself. So every individual living who feels themselves a victim of some sort of oppression or social exclusion feel that they must embark on a holy crusade to fight against everything and everyone that they feel oppresses them or oppresses their what they feel is in a marginalized group. This is insane. Queer theory is about liberation from objective norms, especially where it comes to matters such as gender and sex and sexuality. And this is because it regards the very existence of these categories to be oppressive, right? They would say, well, don't call me a male because I don't feel like a male. I'm sorry, what? No, I don't feel like a male, and it bothers me when you call me a male. But you don't even say it. Because queer theory derives directly from postmodernism, it refuses to accept that these categories are based in any immutable biological reality. And I find it paradoxical that there are some on the social left who will deny the material immutability of biological sex, and yet they will castigate the anti-evolutionary views of someone on the religious right. Queer theory presumes that oppression follows. It's derived, it comes from some sort of authoritarian taxonomy, that is, the ordering of things, be it language, be it society. Even if that order is established through social, political, and biological sciences, seemingly straightforward concepts are seen as oppressive to them, if not violent. And so, to repeat, the main objective of queer theory is to subvert the language, to subvert classifications and concepts in order to break them down. Queer theory, guided by this strange postmodernist idealism and social reconstruction, rejects the possibility that objective reality is even attainable. Do you see what this does to the sciences? Postmodern queer theory regards experience and subjective feelings as more valid than fact. Queer theorists wholeheartedly believe that the world should become what they think it should become, and they therefore attack everything that slightly resembles objective norms of society and culture. Again, this is why queer theory is madness. This is why it's so destructive. Any idea or individual that challenges this anarchic idealism is labeled and rejected as an oppressor or someone who's violent. This isn't liberating. This is socially, politically, and religiously destructive. Now, again, I don't care about the destruction of religion, but you see my point. What this perversion of religious hymnology and liturgy is nothing more than two attention-seeking, dysphoric biological females assuming the identities of two gay men. And by the way, if I were a gay man, I'd be offended by this myself, who believe themselves to be some sort of socially progressive, some iteration of a social revolutionaries in the vein of Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. This duo in Milwaukee is challenging and subverting even the traditional ideas of what God is. Now they, frankly, like most religious people, are making a God into their own image. And their God approves of what they approve of. And their God disapproves of what they disapprove of. In this case, their God disapproves of their personally perceived victimization and marginalization. I'm hurt, therefore God is on my side and he hates whatever it is that hurts me. Their God is what they feel their God should be. Once more, I personally don't give a shit about some religious structure being torn apart. I don't really give a damn about theology. I don't have any skin in that game, so to speak. But I most certainly do give a damn when queer theorists like these two knuckleheads demand that the rest of society that they deem oppressive, that they deem bigoted, that they deemed closed-minded, blah, 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 are called to set aside objective evidence, science and material realities, and constructive social and political orders because they feel victimized in some way. I most certainly give a damn when activists and adherents of queer theory declare that their feelings, their own experiences, their personal subjectivity are of more force than what is objectively closer to the truth. Living in an increasingly degenerating capitalist society is tough enough without queer activists like these two attention-seeking drama queens creating even more division and degradation. If these two self-loathing ladies aren't building a movement, then they're just tearing apart an institution for the sake of tearing it apart. Full stop.